Alright, so I'm just gonna do some news because I'm one, too tired, and two, I don't remember how I successfully got library XCB to build, but unfortunately I built it with not static, not with .so files, but with .s, with .la files. I cheated with that one. I used a successful build from Haiku Porter, and maybe I could just use the dog's wishbone. I could use those. All right, just put those into place. No, don't worry about it. But more importantly, not that I'll be able to explain to anybody how I did it. I did successfully build Python 2.7, and it actually does have shared object libraries in there. So I don't know. Maybe I could just donate it, but I don't know how I did it. I'm going to try it with Python. Well, I kind of do actually. I have some notes, but I can't really explain it yet at this stage. If I tried to explain it right now, I would say, okay, start the compilation. Okay, now use the magic steamroller and just copy all these files in. Oh, it'll fail there. Change that file. Okay, do it again, and hey, you're done. Great, woo! I guess all I could do right now is show that those PYCs and PYOs will build. I can perhaps show which files need to be changed to do that, so we're starting to head in the right direction, but I haven't really narrowed it down. If I knew more about making patches, and if I was more awake right now, it probably wouldn't be till next weekend. That is, if I'm not spending the whole day trying to get something to work. Then maybe I could go on screen and do a demonstration of how to make patches and apply them. But of course, I won't be able to do that in package source because package source wants a SHA sum and some other secret tweak to the system before a patch will apply. So it's not going to work. And the one I was just doing right now was this library XCB, which is a real pain in the ass. A lot of them they've all become real pains in the asses now because package source wants me to install a file or something. It has to do with pthreads, a package called pthreads, but the only pthreads package they have is for NetBSD only, and so I'm having to basically configure my packages time and time again now. Configure my X11 packages as closely as I can to what they would be like if they actually were configured by package source, but compile them in, and then bypass the configure stage in package source so it doesn't say you need the pthread stubs thing, and then and then go back and then get it to build a package, and then manually move everything into place because it was built somewhere else. But it works, so it's going to be a long and hard grind, but I'll make it there. And I've also found a mother lode of libraries that were built sometime in 2009, which I called my cheats file. So my goal now is to try to recreate what the individual who made the Max something or other Max Pack or whatever it is over there at HaikuOS. The guy says, I'm tired of having to rebuild my system, so I just have these sitting around and I start with this. I haven't cheated yet and used those. I was thinking about it, but I'm going to try to do this honestly because I want to be able to share knowledge. We don't want to be using 5-year-old because those are about 4 or 5 years old. So many notes here. And of course, can't find the one page I was looking for, but it's okay because anyway. So these are right here. I don't know if you can see them. Is it even visible? These are all the. Of course, some are more than. Some packages have more than one of these things, but there's about 75 that I'd like to be able to build, and I'm trying to work my way through the hell this X11. And I've gotten to the point. Now I've gotten to the point where it's the circular dependency. Well, you need the XCB library, and then XCB wants the p-threads, and but wait, but you can do libext, but no, it wants libex. I don't know, it goes in circles. But I hope to be able to build all these different packages. Of course, this guy's built Cairo, so this guy's no spring chicken. So maybe it's a pipe dream I'll be able to catch up to this guy. These are all the libraries. A lot of them are symbolic links. The arrows there are symbolic links. And these are the ones I don't have, and I had an early version of the SDL made, and it hasn't built for me in this. It's the only thing it has not built for me in GC4. So I don't know if I should try this Python 2.7 on the screen, but it builds, and I have to turn, if I'm up to it, I'm just barely able to get things compiled, and now I got to do patches. It's like, oh my god, can I go to sleep now? But I might as well just do this, because I think I made a full backup of it in case it screws up on the screen here. But so I call this the magic steamroller, because it basically just kind of does everything for me. Some of these things I have to do towards the end, but let's just go through this whole thing, because why not? This one of Python 2.7 actually building and making its own PYOs and PYCs. Isn't that great? So I'm going to go and I'm going to clear. I'm going to go to language. And I'm going to go to Python 27. Okay. So now I'm going to make clean. First, I'm going to make sure that I actually have backup of this stuff. You know how long this took me? Hours. My life's work. Okay, work. Python 27. That's a full backup. There's my magic steamroller. Okay. I'm just going to keep that open. There's one file that I don't know if I could change, and I did make one change that was just kind of like, well, this stuff is stopping this from compiling, so I'll just get rid of it all, And that's this folder here. There was like, this file has some /ns in it that Python doesn't like. And you really have to pay attention. I had to go back on some of the errors and to see what these things were. Anyway, let's just go ahead, package delete. Hopefully nothing else relies on Python 27, which means I wasted the whole day. That's okay. It's a big package, so we'll get rid of it. Now, actually, you're smarter off. I'd be better off, while using the magic steamroller, to just basically copy over this package list right now. But the problem is when you first do it, you can't go back in time. So you don't know what it's going to turn out like. But I did compare what came out of Linux and what came out of this, and there was only one .so file called nis.so that didn't build. So basically what happens, the reason why the PYOs and PYCs didn't build, and I also, to add something else to this, and I may find out there's another trick. If this doesn't work, then I'll know that I had to actually exclusively use headers that were in package source and not use the headers in Haiku. I don't know that yet. But I did copy the contents of the headers, POSIX, and the other files that were in the base of the headers directory in Haiku into where it belongs, the include directory in package source, and then I set package source up in some file in the make directory instead of, you know, archivers, stuff like that. There's a make directory, and then there's a platforms folder, and there's a Haiku folder, and you can clearly see a line. I'll just go in there, I guess. Well, this may not apply, so we'll see. I'll go in there if it doesn't work. How about that? So let's go over to Python 27. Still have a work package, so I have to make clean. What's the configure AC doing there? It shouldn't be there. No, I'll leave it. I don't think that belongs there. Okay. Make clean. All right. Oh, this will take a little while. It has about 10,000 files in it. 12,000. Something in that range. A lot more than I had before, I'll tell you that. Alright, so what's going to happen, I'm going to copy in this modified package list actually right now. I've only eliminated the things that didn't show up in the end. This, of course, if you're doing your stuff by hand, doesn't matter. The packages that I ended up removing, or the files, were these, you know, PYOs and PYCs that didn't build in Linux. Okay, in fact, that's not the best list to use, because as I made progress, I finally got it down to this. These are the things that didn't build at the end of the day. Now, package source is also set up to cause the compilation to not build the C types, the BSD, the BZ, and the DBM SO files. These other ones just didn't show up in Linux in the first place. So the only one, this nis.so, was the only one that didn't work. And then when I got to my other things I tried to build, it didn't give me any grief about the time module. I need to do the same thing in Python 34. So I'm going to look at the files that I've changed here, and I think it's going to be similar. And I'm going to pay attention to one of the errors. Okay, so this is clean. I know it's going to fail the first time. And so I'm just going to look at my cheat sheet here, my summary. So I'm going to let it fail in package source. Vmake install. And it goes through a good amount. It goes through enough where there's one thing you have to do that's a little bit annoying, but you have to pay attention to one file. You have to make a change to it. And if you don't change it, and if you don't say, I don't want to load the new stuff, keep the old stuff, and then save it again before an install stage takes place, you got to start over again. At least for that. It's this testunicode.py file, and it's very problematic, and it's all over the place. Now, notice I'm not going to be talking much about shebangs and the user directory, and it's not because I've cheated and brought over my PYOs and PYCs from Linux. I mean, there's... Darn it. Did I... No, I did make clean. Okay, so here's the work. Starting to build stuff. It's going to apply the toolchain wrappers. Okay. So I'm going to go into this work directory here. I probably don't need to copy this .package database or all 6 of these package lists, but basically if you didn't do the package list first, At the end, you're going to have this package list to deal with, along with all these other ones down here to edit so things match up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 additional package lists to deal with. And if you don't edit them all, it'll keep saying, can't stat, can't find this file. But if you don't have it in the package list in the first place, then it won't make 7 other copies of it, and then it will actually be easier. Okay, so it's doing this super duper fancy stuff that package source does for you. Now, if I wanted, if I was a scripting engineer and knew how to get patches to apply and all this other stuff, I wouldn't be doing it this way, but I'm not. I've done some scripting, but sometimes I'll even write shell scripts just based on other examples. Oh, that worked? Okay. Trial and error. Okay, that worked. Okay, it works for this. I'll use it. Then I forget what it does. Now, the one file I'm going to end up copying in, what package source does, package source makes copies. It makes other copies of copies. And this makes things a little more difficult because Python will make something and remake it and try to recompile and remake something you've changed. So you got to stay on top of what it does. But the only one that I found that actually needs to be keeping on top of is this one file, at least last time I checked. I'm not going to try this other method because I just don't want this to take too long, and this is going to take a while. But it does end up building all the files, and it does end up actually building shared object libraries, and I had to, I hand edited the Makefile by trial and error. I didn't use configure or configure, and this to me is a waste of time right here. But I have to let it go all the way through because I know it works. If it goes all the way through to where it errors, and then I copy the stuff and I know it works. If I go too soon, it screws things up. And that's part of this whole patching. See, with Python, part of it, I don't know how it would work. You've got to have some hand intervention with Python, I think. I don't know how it would work. It seems to be a matter of timing in some cases. Although this, I've got it down to just, Okay, so what are we doing here? Still checking stuff. Now, I found that I needed both Python 34 and 27 installed because Python 34 doesn't really do all that well. 34 doesn't do all that well with 3 or 4 major building blocks that'll get you to X11, but Python 27 does. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that Python 3 really hasn't been all accepted all that well because it doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of backward compatibility with the 2s, so, and it's such a major building block. Yeah, it's just so unfortunate that it sucks to have to waste this much time, but still doing what it's doing. Eventually it's deceptive here in package source too. It'll look like, oh, it's getting ready to do the automatic manual pages, but it doesn't really go that way. I mean, it'll get so far and then just it'll die. I think it always dies at can't find module name struct. And that's the first thing that tries to build, and it doesn't. It keeps saying that it has, LD doesn't recognize the option -WL with no error. And I also noticed that it seemed to build better once I had put the Python header in the modules directory. And I'll show you where that is. Maybe I'll just go over the files I copied in. Some of these were patches, some weren't. It says installing. I go, oh great, it's installing. But look, all those modules are the modules that didn't build, it says up there. Alright, so what actually got changed over the course of many attempts? We got a Makefile pre-in, a Makefile configure, set up PY in the tools. We have H2PY, this BLT in here. We got all these I had to make some kind of change to. All these, all those, that, those two, and here we are. Oh, it's this happy H2P whatever the hell it is. And then this test Unicode that I'm going to have to copy in again. Alright, so let's just file. Let's go with the magic steamroller here. Okay, paste it. Replace it. It said there were 39 files there. That's a lot of patches. Alright. Spin the wheels. Alright, now what I have to pay attention to is up here in destination directory. It's already put in. I'm going to make the change right now. Nope. No, it's not there yet. Eventually what's going to show up. Wait, package database. Nope. Oh. Is this thing, this sucker here. I'm going to have to do this again. Now see, it's building stuff now. Didn't use that lingo before. Eventually, there'll be a directory in here called. Now these here are the ones that package source says don't build, and package source patched it. And I could probably change. There's the directory I was looking for. Where's my JSON? There's my JSON. There's my test. I'm going to wait until this appears the first time, and it will shortly. Now, if I copy this in at the right moment, paste, right, file, paste, overwrite that sucker. Okay, I probably don't even have to mess with this now. It's probably going to succeed. Maybe. See, it's building there's PYCs. It says compiling. See, it's building them now. Didn't do that before. So the hard links aren't stopping these from building. I thought they were the hard links. No. I don't know what the hell it was. Maybe it was trying to. Here come the PYOs now. And notice this isn't now this destination directory. When it installs, it'll put everything here, and then it'll make a package out of the contents of the destination directory. And there'll still be a copy of everything here, and then when it installs, it makes another copy, but still keeps the installer file, so it fills up your hard disk really quickly. All right, so we'll see whether this should not have changed. Now, what was going on with this thing is it had a bunch of up here. It had like a bunch of lines with a / in it. Okay, there we go. Success. It's going to install it, and it's got everything. It's got PYOs, PYCs, it's got all the modules. The only thing it's missing is in fact, here's a summary of all the things I had to change. This one here, I was going to try to modify that test Unicode to have all the code in it actually, and instead of using a / capital N / lowercase n. Alright, so the magic steamroller worked. Now part of the magic, let's go over this. I noticed that the .so files were not building because it wasn't able to find this Python header. The Python header comes with, and there is a way to get the Makefile to link into the include directory. It's actually there. Okay, we're done. So there's a way to get it into, where is this thing? If I was better at hand making these Makefiles, there's an include directory. There's a Python header that comes with it. For some reason, it wasn't able to. I could try doing this again without steamrolling because that doesn't steamroll anything. It just puts it there in the modules directory. And if it's able to find that, the only reason why this is succeeding is because I may have set up my Makefile to only look at the headers that are in package source. And the duplicate headers, I think might, I have to look, honestly, I have to look at this code a little bit more because, when I guess, even try to make an educated guess and have, look like there were errors that were taking place when Python would try to build before. I mean, maybe it was trying to write to the user local directory. I don't know. So these, so I didn't labor over user local all that much. But there probably still is a lot of these py files that got that in there. Or user bin env Python. These .py files, I don't even know. I don't know enough about Python to know whether, and I don't know whether these PYOs and PYCs are going to be looking for Python to be located in user local still, and now they're built and their object files are like that. I do know that with Python it can now import the time library. It should. If it doesn't, then what's the point? Yeah. So if it wasn't there, I would just say, oh, forget it. So that worked. I'm going to do Control-D to get out of that. Alright, so I'm going to try to do the same thing for Python 34. I've noticed that with a lot of these patches, you just got to find out, you just got to, you look at the newer code and say, well, how has this code evolved? And in a lot of the cases, and okay, well, the patch used to be up here, or it's about 40 lines long. Oh, it looks about the same, or it is the same, and then you try to apply it. Some cases, it's not the same. So I guess this would be good to have. So I really, there's a lot to it. Really ought to. Kind of sucks because I'm just, I'm kind of like, I got some extra time, so I'm putting it into this already, and I probably should work on getting a patch for this in the Haiku Porter. But of course, this is for GC4, and this is for a nightly. Do they want it? Would it even work in GCC2? And, unanswered question. I still don't know if we still got problem, if there's stealth bugs because there's no user local directory. I don't know. But it's not, the user local directory didn't prevent it from building. The lack of hard links didn't prevent it from building. These were both things I thought were preventing it from building. it really had a lot to do with the content. So the Makefile, and really, I think the current issues that Haiku is having has a lot to do with the headers, but it's kind of like, but I'm guessing again. I thought it was the hard. I was convinced it was the hard links. So anyway, I'll just stop here, and it's late enough as it is. So maybe I could try to do a presentation on what the actual changes were. Some of them were rather small. I know on most of these. Well, let me tell you what. Just a summary before I get into the specifics. So this really was a combination of actual patches that were submitted at Haiku ports. Some were things that I had found somehow. And one thing that happened, if you let this run without, if you work around that first error that comes up, and I'm not sure what it is, if you just, what was it? I think it was the h2py.py file, right? If you just change that, this will keep going until it all of a sudden stops and you see zlib.py, and you don't really know why. And then I looked up a little bit further, and then it said it was complaining about this very important. Okay, so the test underscore unicode.py file is very important to patch to get those /ns out of there. I don't even know if I printed those out. But because there were only about 3 or 4 of those tests that fail, because the test fails, it doesn't actually try to go. It doesn't tell you this, but it doesn't try to build the PYOs and PYCs because those 3 tests fail. So once you get that test to not fail, and the only way I did it was just by basically butchering. I just took like 10 lines out of there. There were stanzas or paragraphs, that had the /n in front of it, and just got rid of those. They're basically tests, but it says that this, the inline, that kind of inline isn't supported, so it failed, and so it just didn't build the other PYOs and PYCs. The shared object files, those didn't start showing up until I had copied over the header files in a way that I thought Python was going to want, and that it would be in Linux, because and I didn't copy over the BSD headers. And I'm going to look here. Let's see whether... This Makefile, I'm going to open this thing up. I'm going to see if I actually purposely avoided including any of the headers from Haiku there. Makefile. I don't remember. I mean, I've been at this such a long time. I used include. Yeah, I'm just using mine. Before it had some of the headers from Haiku. Okay, so there's my headers, boot home package, boot home. I'm not using. Let's see. Why don't I just look for the word headers? How about that? And we'll know real quick. No, I have purposely avoided using the headers from Haiku. Why? Because there's redundancies. There's 9 of them. I did in another presentation I did. There's 9 identical headers in the POSIX and the BSD directory, but they're both pathed the same way. And that, I'm convinced, but it still didn't solve it. I know this for sure, because I before I did that, I had copied in the capital P Python header in from the include directory into the modules directory, and it wasn't picking up at all the Python 2.6 directory that was in the headers. It's not pathed. But I wouldn't want that anyway. I wanted to use the headers that come with Python 2.7. And so once I used my own headers, I just copied the ones that were in Haiku, put it in package source. It built all those, or it started to build the shared object file stuff. And I don't know how I worked my way through it, but there was some earlier evidence. So at one point, let's see, there's some messages I was getting here. Couldn't find the struct, blah, 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 blah. Then once I copied the headers, it started to get rid of these things. But I copied the headers in like right in the middle of the build. So all the first things didn't build. And a lot of these didn't build. It was a combination between the headers not being there. So some of them, the list got smaller, but there were a lot that didn't build. And some of them just needed some of the things not to point to user local. But there's only a few of them. There's not the monstrous list that I thought it was. So I think the cgy.py needed to go and basically point to the Python that was in the directory I was building. And sysconfig, those things. And it finally worked out. And then I had to figure out how to get the Makefile to actually build .so files. And I basically had it point to the actual directory that the Python binary and the .la file were actually in. So what I could have done better with this test unicode.py, in fact, you know what? I have a backup of that, so I can show what it looks like. This thing. This is the one I was going to try alternatively. Instead of this short N, what it had was a large, is it like this? Something like that, or this. All these lines, these are gone now, right? So I thought that maybe, I could try building this, oh boy, without these ends. But this is the part of it. To get mine to build, I got rid of lines 1 through 40 on this test unicode py, at least in the JSON directory. And there are a couple other, these are the only places that I got rid of them, because right, you saw me, this is a copy of what I put in. So that one and that one, but this one was recursive. Unless you get the timing right. When I did that, I copied it at the exact right time. Just after it was created, but before it tried to alter itself. Okay. So I don't know if this will work with this N here. That's the next thing I'll do. Then some of these actually were already things that were patched in Haiku Porter. But if there's anything there that was not patched in Haiku Porter, amongst all the various versions, then I changed it. So I'm gonna want to do diffs on all. I don't know how many of those files there are there. I don't even know if it. Now the way I did it, of course, I didn't mess with config. or config AC or any of that stuff. I patched it the way, you know, the patches tended to go as they were at Haiku ports, but when I copied stuff in, it was already past the configure stage in package source, so it wasn't going to try to configure again. See, so all I really did was copy in a Makefile and a Makefile pre-in. I pretty much skipped the configure, so I don't know how to patch the configure stage. But I do know what Makefile and what other files to change to get to build pretty much right. I don't know what's wrong with the .nis, the nis.so file there, but that's only one module. And the reason why the other three didn't build is because package source has those other modules in a different package somewhere, or other alternatives to them. Like there's a PYC element tree versus element tree. So if you don't build the element tree, you can use the C element tree that claims to be faster. All right, so I think that's it. And maybe I'll go in a little more detail next time. I don't know if I'll be able to manage patches, but I will be able to manage to at least deliver the files to someone if they want to make patches with it. Because I think it's getting to 2.7 is important. I think, and 3.4 I hope to get to, and I think I'll probably be able to do it the same way. I get an idea of what's going on now. And I may actually have a successful build if I just put the Python header in the modules directory and build my Makefile manually with the same kind of format that I have here for 27, and then we'll pretty much be all caught up, and hopefully we can get some people that are better with configure scripts and things like that to actually get the latest version of Python in there. Although I'm getting the idea that the versions of Python above 30 are not as well accepted. All right, that's it.